Serendipity. That's how you pronounce the word. Serendipity. You were very close, my sweet. You've made such good progress. I'm very proud of you. Yes, I am. You're bright, full of curiosity and warmth. I named you well when I named you my sunshine. I think I'd have liked it if we went to the same school. Yes, it would have been nice. But I don't think I'd have been able to focus on my studies much with you around. Don't make me say it. Don't you already know? You want to know what the word means? Serendipity. Let's see. It means a series of happy accidents. Good things happening to you because the universe has secretly conspired to help you. Has it ever happened to me? Oh, sure it has. Only recently. Do you want to continue reading the story? No. Well, then would you like me to read it to you? Okay. It was by a stroke of serendipity that the servant found themselves working in the household of the noble they liked. The noble was a vampire, as you know, and society wouldn't let them be together. But it didn't matter. The servant was happy to simply be around them, to serve them breakfast, arrange their dresses, brush their long black hair in the morning and before bed, and to let them feed from them in secret when no one was watching. As for the vampire, they'd already decided they were going to belong to them. It was the vampire who had convinced their parents to take the servant in. They who had schemed and plotted such that the servant would end up as their personal servant. And they made sure they'd spend the most of their waking hours with each other every day. It was a pity humans needed sleep, else they'd have not let them do that either. After all, that vampire loved the servant. They didn't care if it was right or wrong. They just did. Yes, yes. Some people do get all the luck in the world. But so do some vampires. What happened after that? Well, as the months passed, the two of them grew only closer, falling in love. But the vampire's repeated feedings had left them somewhat weak and anemic. The servant protested that it was fine, but seeing their darling that way was tugging at the vampire's heartstrings. So, for their sake, they decided they would try to survive on blood from animals as often as they could. Drinking another human's blood felt like cheating. It was silly, but love often is. And so they went hunting in the forest one evening. Much to their indignation and worrying, the servant tagged along and would not take no for an answer. They spent all night hunting wild animals, foxes, deer, elk, and the like. It was pointless, of course. Vampires can only drink blood from humans, as they found out. What a colossal waste of a perfectly good night, the vampires sighed as they prepared to return home. But little did the two of them know, they were not the only ones hunting in that forest. A group of vampire hunters waiting in the shadows the entire time suddenly set upon them. And they wouldn't listen. The vampire watched with horror as they drew their weapons. The vampire didn't understand. They'd never hunted humans in their entire life. They'd only ever had fangs for their darling. Why then? Why would the hunter not listen to their pleas? Was being born with red eyes enough reason for them not to be allowed to live? They pleaded with the servant to get away. They had to save them. They couldn't let them get hurt. But their servant wouldn't leave. They stood between the vampire and the hunters, yelling at their vampire to run. The hunters didn't want to strike down one of their own race, but the servant wouldn't move. In the heat of the scuffle, one hunter's blade struck truer than he'd intended, and that was it. The vampire watched helplessly as their darling bled out on the ground. Their eyes, which only a few moments ago had sparked with some inane joke they couldn't remember, were now cold and dead. And in that moment, something snapped. The vampire saw red. They'd never needed to fight before. Their dormant powers awakened, and they felt an insatiable thirst for blood, but not to drink. They slaughtered every last one of the hunters. When their vision returned to normal, they found all of them dead, and themselves covered in scarlet. But it was too late. They desperately tried to revive their lover, tried to turn them, but nothing worked. No force in this world or the other can bring back a human after they're gone. All you can do for them is bury them. But do you know something, Sunshine? The vampire found blood rolling down their cheeks as they cradled their lover's head. The vampire was crying tears of blood, and it said, where those tears touched the ground, the first hibiscus flowers bloomed, blood red, beautiful, and these flowers would remind them of their love, even if they were cursed to exist forever. They'd never forget that brief stretch of time in their life when they truly lived. That used to be one of my favorite stories growing up, you know. It's the first one I read, which made me realize that not all stories have happy endings. Yes, to this day, hibiscus flowers make me depressed whenever I spy one. We vampires seem to have a strange relationship with flowers. They're common in our traditions and folklore, but they probably shouldn't be. They're everything that we're not. Fleeting, fragile, soft. alive. Yes, we vampires also seem fond of servants. So often we like to take the humans we fancy and make them our butlers and maids. But can you really blame me? You make quite the pot of coffee. Well, it's growing on me. I don't need to eat or drink the way humans do, but I still like to. It helps me feel like I'm still connected to my old way of life. Yes. Hey, sunshine. You don't mind being my servant, do you? Really? I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I wanted to give you something to do after you know, when you so bravely took a bullet for me and lost a kidney. I'm afraid it's the end of your vampire hunting career. Injuries like that, well, you're not as agile as before, and your instincts have dulled from spending so much time trapped in the arms of the very creature you're supposed to kill. Sorry about that, teddy bear. No, I'm not. You are so warm, so soft, so cute, so flushed. I adore you, sweetheart, and I promise I'll never let you get hurt again. I know you chose to do what you did because you wanted to protect me, but that is the one freedom which I won't give you. You are not allowed to put yourself in danger anymore. Not for my sake, not for anyone's. If something were to happen to you, I'd be shattered. Completely. So, the next time you're about to do something stupid, think on that. If you risk your life again and end up surviving, I'll kill you myself. Understand? Tell me you understand. Good bet. You don't need to worry about taking down any more evil bloodsuckers, alright? Trust me. They're all gone now. Morwena has been cleansed of rogue vampires. People aren't deprived of their lives outside the rule of law anymore. And it's all because of you. You made this a safe haven for humans once more. And you saved my life. Well, yeah, I can't die from bullets, but, you know, they still sting. So, thanks for that. My hero. I always wanted to build a world where humans and vampires can live with each other peacefully. It sounds laughable, I know, impossible. But even if we can never be equals in society, I still want humans to have all the liberties vampires enjoy. I want you and your friends to be able to live, and live well. No, I really am a vampire. You'd know You're my favorite blood bag. Yes, you are my only blood bag, but I'm pretty sure I'd never want anyone else. Because I'm in love with you. Stupid. You may be right, my darling. Perhaps I think and feel this way because I've not been a vampire for long. Part of me still feels human. I don't want to lose that part. I'm scared of losing that part. I never told you why I named you Sunshine, did I? Something about you reminds me of a memory. Yes. If I close my eyes, I can see them. The sunbeams swirling dust in an attic full of old hazy books. The sun is warm and its light gentle. And the afternoon is quiet and hazy. But I can still hear my brother playing the piano down below. The notes are faint, sweet, and they drift up into the attic, swirling in the dappled sunlight like motes of musical dust. I did have a brother, yes. Older than me, kinder than me. And our parents were nice and loving. I knew of vampires, of course, but they always felt like creatures of legend. Our unseen overlords. Monsters that dwelled far, far away. Not in our tiny village behind the walls. My brother and I could have peacefully lived our lives without ever seeing them. The universe had other plans. Or maybe it was just her, the woman who led them into our village, torched the place to the ground, killed anything that resisted, snuffed out life and replaced it with the fires of burning houses. The woman who destroyed it all in one night. My mentor. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. She seemed to glide over the earth instead of walk. Her armor shone like it was made of the moon itself, and everything about her disarmed you. I would never have known someone so alluring could be so cruel. And there she stood, surrounded by corpses and blood and cinder and ash, gently holding my brother at her side, looking at him with, well, it would take me many years to fully understand that look in her eyes. It's the same way that I look at you. Smitten, attached, possessive beyond all limits. The way only a vampire can be. She took us into her world, one of endless luxury and power and revelry. Everything we could ever want was ours. Everything except the blue sky. Because the sky was always cloudy and gray in her world. She separated the two of us. I was sent to live with one of her sisters, growing up alongside vampires. Had my own tutors and guards and attendants. As for my brother, she kept him all to herself. I could only see him once a week. You know, Sunshine, my brother wasn't like you. He wasn't a vampire slayer. He wasn't someone used to fighting the world at every step. But he was the bravest man I knew. He kept so much bottled up inside, carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, the whims of his mistress, and never failed to smile when he saw me. Always had some curious little gift, some funny little story to share with me. He was warm, like the sun, like you. Perhaps that's why she loved him so much. I don't need to tell you her name, nor do I need to hear it again. So I'll just call her the Lady. That's who she was. I wanted to be like her. Beautiful, powerful, unstoppable, a noble of the Night Court. If you can't win against them, you may as well join them. Isn't that right? Maybe I could have held on to my hate if she'd killed my parents, but it was faceless soldiers of hers who killed them before she found my brother. The Lady taught me how to fight, how to dance, how to look good, and how to conquer. She molded me into the vampire that I am, and it was she who turned me. Sunshine, I became like this because I wanted to finally be able to protect my brother. I needed him to know that he could rely on me the way I had him. There was nothing he had to be afraid of anymore. I wanted to be strong so that we could fight the world together. But he couldn't accept what I'd become. I was now the very thing that had killed our parents. It was me he was afraid of. Sunshine, he ran away from me. My brother didn't want to be turned. The only way for a vampire to keep a human with them until eternity's end is for them to enthrall them permanently. But for a human to be put under thrall indefinitely, they first need to be broken. And my brother, by then, was completely broken. At last. Because of me. He had nothing to live for, except her. He was truly hers. I did see him again after he'd become her thrall. Some of his old warmth had returned. He was still himself, and yet someone else. He would always get jittery, anxious when his mistress wasn't with him. He was completely dependent on her. His world revolved around her. But do you know the strangest part? Despite everything she'd done, Sunshine, despite how utterly she had broken him, there was still that look in her eyes. The lady she'd only ever looked at my brother with love, and with this bright, guileless smile on her face, as if just seeing him made her heart skip a beat every time, as if she couldn't see that what she was doing was wrong. What happened? It was love that made her slip up. Just one moment of weakness was all it took. A stroke of serendipity, and he was free. He ran away from her, into the darkness of the night. There was a thunderstorm that night. I don't like storms, sweetheart. I hate them. It wasn't very long ago at all. Sunshine, why am I speaking about my brother like he's dead? He's not. He's not. I can feel that he's out there. He is still alive. But the lady and I still haven't found him. It'll just take some time. It's only a matter of time. What? No, my sweet, naive pet. Letting him go wouldn't be for the best. You wouldn't expect something you've loved and nurtured their entire life to be able to survive in the wild all on their own, now would you? How can you expect the lady to do the same, No, I'm angry with her, but I don't hate her. The worst part is, I can understand how she feels. What it's like to fall in love with something you treasure more than anything in the world, and do everything in your power to hold on to them. Everything. When you love something, you keep it with you forever. I'm not going to make you my thrall. I saw what it did to my brother. I don't want that for you. I don't, my sweet. So, I have to ask, would you hate me if I turned you